Hello, everybody. Hello, cohort, and welcome to week 10. This is pretty exciting stuff, and I am happy to welcome you here to xAPI Learning Cohort, where we have a fantastic presentation for you today. We may have some team status updates. So if you are doing a team update, I will ask you to send me a private message and let me know that you're here and that you've got something to update. It was a little bit quiet today on Slack, or this week on Slack, actually. I want to welcome you all. Spring here in the Northern Hemisphere is happening, and that means we are coming to the end of our spring cohort. I've had people in the past ask me why we call it the spring cohort if we start it in January. And my answer is, because I'd rather be talking about spring when we get to the end rather than calling this the winter cohort. So it's the spring cohort, and welcome to spring. I'm going to share my screen. This is session number 10 of the cohort, and we are recording this session. So if you are joining us live, thank you and welcome, and we're happy to see you. If you're joining us on the recording, that's fantastic too. Did you know we had almost 500 views of our first cohort video from this session back in January? That's pretty awesome. That's really awesome. So these recordings are really important. And what I like is that the recordings are available not only for people to catch up on the topics they want to catch up on, and it allows them to not have to be here right now at 2 o'clock Eastern time, or 3 a.m. in the Philippines, or 9 p.m. in Saudi Arabia, but it also allows our speakers to have a recording of their work and the presentation that they gave that they can then share with others as well. So let's get started. We are, as I said, in week 10. There's over 825 people signed up for this session. Welcome to all of you. As you'll notice, we have about 30 people signed in today for the live session. It'll go up a little bit as we get further into the hour. But many people watch the recordings of the videos or simply want to be on the list because we send out great resources. And at the end of each session, we have additional links and resources and things that got shared and discussed during the session. I am Megan Torrance. I'm your cohort host this season, this semester, and I'm joined by Jamie Washington, who is, as always, behind the scenes and making sure that everything runs incredibly smoothly. Jamie is the engine behind the emails you get, the social media posts that you get, making sure that the recordings are ready to rock and roll and sent out every week, and gets a ton of support also from Matt Cleaver. The rest of us also get support from Matt in the cohort Slack channel. So thank you, Matt. I love watching when you zoom in and you're able to help somebody out on their project or with a particular question. You can follow us on Twitter by following the xAPI Gnome. That's actually the mascot from my first and Matt's first xAPI cohort project back in a really long time ago, the spring of 2015, actually. And so that the gnome was the star. He was the dude in the primary learner example in our use case for our project, and it kind of stuck. Today, we have a guest speaker talking about, well, what I love about this. So Khalid Al-Reemy is joining us from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to tell us about the project that he has done, where what he's doing is he's gathering learner data across a number of LMSs in order to bring it all in together to one. And I'll introduce him in a little bit more depth in a bit from now. But I'm actually really excited about this because where Amy's presentation last week, Amy Parent, and if you are looking for a great presentation on data visualization and using data to tell your story and to gather insights about your work, by all means, go back and look at the week 9 recording. It is top-notch stuff. Khalid is going to be looking then at the architectural side around gathering data from a bunch of different sources all into one. So I love how these two case studies work next to each other. As a reminder, unless we explicitly say so, all of our cohort projects are operating under the Apache 2.0 software license, which effectively means for open source projects that while you may use the ideas that are shared here in your projects, in your own work, you may not sue each other for giving you a bad idea. So you're responsible for your own experience. And while we say unless explicitly stated otherwise, no project, to my knowledge, has explicitly stated otherwise. So be kind, be safe out there, and be good, be excellent to each other. How about that? I wanted to remind you all of the xAPI party on May 6th. xAPI party is, in some respects, it is the capstone event to the xAPI cohort. So xAPI party, we run this every semester at the end of the cohort, and it's an opportunity for cohort teams to show off their work, but we bring in other guest speakers from around the industry and craft a program that helps to really further the industry. So it's both the capstone of the cohort plus the celebration of everything else that's going on with xAPI outside in the world. So right now we have a call for proposals open. So if you would like to submit a session to the xAPI party, please go ahead and submit one. We're in the process of crafting that agenda, and we have our proposals open through April 15th. If you just want to attend the party, just like Cohort, it is free and available to anybody. So just go right ahead and sign up. 73 of your colleagues have already signed up. It really looks like it's going to be a great day and a great opportunity for sharing and for learning. Party is great for people who don't have time to commit to Cohort. Party is also a great place to bring your boss. So those of you who are presenting team updates this week, now is a spectacular time to make sure that your microphone and camera are connected. And you can do that using the gear icon in the upper right-hand side of your screen. Because what I'm going to do is share some information that I share every week about what's going on in Cohort. So xAPI Cohort is a welcoming global experience for helping people learn about the xAPI. And in order to be welcoming, we cover some of the standard information about what is Cohort and what are we doing here, so that everybody knows and has a comfort level with diving in and jumping in right in the middle of things. And we're kind of in the middle of things right now. We like to say it's never too late to join Cohort. So xAPI Learning Cohort is free, it's virtual, it's vendor neutral. It's a 12-week learning by doing experience. And the learning by doing is really powerful stuff. It's one thing to attend a workshop and learn the right way to do things the first time through. It's an entirely different experience and depth of experience to get in and to try and fail and figure out why and come back at it and succeed. And your ability to learn deeply and to generalize because you have done that process of failure and troubleshooting is a really powerful way to learn. The work that gets done in the Slack teams is project-based team learning. I love it when people come together and everybody has something different to contribute to the experience and to the troubleshooting, and it's really spectacular. And it's a community. And remember, if you would like one of our xAPI cohort stickers, let me know your address and we will pop one in the mail to you anywhere around the world. xAPI cohort happens in two main spaces. One is these project teams that we mentioned. And in the project teams, we have a free Slack channel. We offer free space. Well, GitHub is free, but we offer a free space and we have a GitHub space for xAPI projects. And those teams work together whenever. I see teams posting at all hours of the day and night in their Slack channels and checking files in and out and posting updates on GitHub. And then this is the weekly web session where we bring you demos, education, connections every single week, and we record them. And then those weekly emails with updates, web session recordings, and extra bonus material that Jamie generally finds to put in there, which is pretty amazing. So this is our agenda and our outline for the spring 2022 cohort. And we're in the thick of it. We are in the Seeing It in Action section of the agenda. And this is the second of two. I call them xAPI in action, real production projects out in the world. And it's a nice counterbalance to all the work that the project teams are doing, because right now in the project kind of trajectory, this is the time when things may not be working or aren't moving as fast as you want, or you did steps A and B and C and D and something failed at step E and you don't have data, and you're working through the problem solving and troubleshooting that is associated with that. So it's good and refreshing to see what things that are working when you're at about this point in the project, right? So we are right now solidly in this, we're designing and building and testing and getting help as we go. The next 2 weeks in cohort, we will be featuring demos from project teams. And I'll be reaching out to each of the project teams to connect with you, to schedule a time. I know I've already got xAPI developer tools. That project team will be on April 7th. Teams, be thinking about when you'd like to demo. These demos are going to be 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 if you get on a roll. So short demos, it's okay. We don't expect for you to have beautiful finished products at this point. You just got started, and this is a journey being undertaken by volunteers, typically doing this after hours or in your spare time. So the work that you're doing shows how it's done, and that's really very powerful. I remember one team where at the end of their 12 weeks, what they had learned was that it was really hard to get their sales team to share performance data with the learning team. So they weren't able to make all the connections that they wanted with their xAPI project. And that was their big learning, was that you can't go it alone. You need to get the business sponsors that will help you get the data that you need. And I thought that was brilliant. Yes, it's disappointing, but it's a really important thing to learn. I also want to call out, I've already mentioned the xAPI party on May 6th, but I want to also mention, if you will be at the Learning Guild's Learning Solutions Conference in the week of April 18th, I believe is the start of that week. The conference itself runs the 20th through the 22nd. Demo Fest is a really neat learning experience and opportunity. There's a few things going on. What I love about Demo Fest, and it's a contest. So I'm a little bit competitive. So in case you didn't know that about me, I love a good contest. And so Demo Fest is an opportunity to show your work and maybe win a prize. Demo Fest is a great opportunity to go and see other people's work and get ideas and talk to them about how they did it. And that's also really, really a neat time. DemoFest this year has a category called personal projects. And I've been working with the Guild. Personal projects is a space for, well, projects like xAPI cohort projects, projects like you might be doing your own thing and your personal level and you're trying something out, or you're a student and you've got a student project that you submitted as an assignment and you'd like to put it in the running at DemoFest. And so that's what this personal projects category is all about. You're not competing against production ready, big budget projects. You're competing against other things and sharing your work and getting feedback as you go against similar projects. So I love that. And I'm excited for that as an opportunity. I remember a bunch of years ago, Matt Cleaver may be able to help me. I think you were there that year. But I remember in some of the early years at DemoFest, and the Learning Guild does this, by the way, at their Learning Solutions Conference and their DevLearn Conference. So if you're not feeling like you're ready for Learning Solutions, that's okay. Be thinking for DevLearn in October. But I remember looking around, right, one year in the early days of xAPI, and I think there were like 3 projects out of 50 projects in DemoFest that involved xAPI. And every year there were more and more, and they didn't call them out. But I remember one year as we were setting up, I went around, I had a whole bag full of little xAPI buttons. And I just went around before the DemoFest started. And I said, hi, does your project use xAPI? And if it did, I gave them a button to put on their shirt. And I gave out a lot of buttons. So that was pretty exciting. Now more and more and more of the projects actually involve xAPI. So it's kind of a neat, I wish I had been measuring it, but it's a neat way to look at the adoption of xAPI into the specification. So just to keep your dates clear, this is a good screenshot to, or a good slide to screenshot. So we have cohort project demos. They're short, about 10 minutes, March 31st and April 7th. DemoFest, live in Orlando at Learning Solutions Conference on April 21st, and then xAPI Party, May 6th, back here online. And each project team will have, you could have 20 minutes or you could have 45 minutes. So you get to pick how long your session is. So I would like to introduce Khalid Al-Reemy and have an opportunity to hear about his work. What's really, really interesting is that I would guess my numbers about 95 to 98% of the people who have ever signed up for xAPI Cohort are learning designers. You're coming at this from the, I am designing a learning experience and I would like to get more data out of it. That's how I've come at it. Okay. Khaled's experience is from the artificial intelligence, the engineering, the research side of things, and he's looking for data and sees learning experiences as a big source of data that can help inform business this way. So he's on the data collection side, and 6 months ago didn't know that xAPI existed. So that's why it's really exciting to see this here. And I am really interested in hearing this project and hearing about your work. And Khalid, if I get it right, it's 9 p.m. in Riyadh, right?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you for staying up late to join us. I appreciate this so much.
You're welcome. Okay, it's my it's a great chance to have this session with you all. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Khalid, working in Saudi Arabia, this great country. Actually, I am an AI engineer. So why I came into xAPI, why I came into learning, let me say, in this education field. Actually, we have a project for gathering learner engagement data so that we can build a recommender system. We can use this data for like more analytics and such operations. So we had before I start implementing the AI into my project, I found that we need, prior to applying AI, I need data. Data is very important in AI. AI models cannot start without data. It's very hungry to data. So I found that there is no data. I have to get one step back or maybe many steps back so that we have to start collecting data. We have to start pre-processing this data, cleaning data so that we can feed it into the AI models, and then we can like train the models and get good results out of that. Because garbage in leads to garbage out. So we have to make the proper data ready for the AI model. So I'm going to share my slides here. Mm, Okay, I hope I can get the. Okay, can you see my screen or the slide right now?
It's coming. Yes, we've got it.
Okay. Okay, this is just a simple view of the architecture that we are working on. Initially, or at the center of this screen, we are having the LRS. LRS is a warehouse for the data we are collecting. Okay, so on the right side, we have LMSs. Okay, say LMS1, LMS2, LMS N, or number of LMSs. Okay, where the learner will or learners will experience their courses or do their courses. Okay, so the data will be fed from the LMS to the LRS. It will be saved directly into there. I think we all know about this. But on the left side, we have something a little bit different. We have another LMSs, as we all know, edX, Coursera, and there are some other LMSs here, like well known in Saudi Arabia. It's like ITRAE. There are many other. We can call them as partners or LMSs. So these LMSs will not provide the data directly as an xAPI data or xAPI statements. It will not be in the form of JSON xAPI statements. So we have to translate or make some changes so that we can pre-process this data and then feed it to the LRS so that it will be in one form as if it was coming from the normal LMSs that we are expecting. So in the next slide, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I couldn't get to my, I had a hard time getting to my mute button fast enough.
Okay, I'm making here one example of one learner called Arwa. Okay, so Arwa, for example, let's take from the left side. She logged in to LMS1 in one period of time. She studied one course or three courses, let's say, one about HTML, CSS, PHP for beginners. Okay, so, for example, she had these courses in LMS1. Another time she logged in another LMS, let's say it is LMS2 or whatever. She learned something, two courses, JavaScript database concepts. Another time she logged into LMS3 and LMSN, whatever is the number of LMSs she joined, and she took courses. Like, for example, I can join Coursera and I will take some courses from there. I'll join maybe Udemy, Udacity, or whatever, maybe LinkedIn Learning also. So if I take many courses from different LMSs, so I have to, like in our case, we have to collect the learner engagement or the learner experience among all these LMSs. So how can we collect this type or this the data in such scenario? So that is actually our project. And here is the main thing. So we are like maybe what is common regarding Arwa in these LMSs. Arwa will not log in. Maybe she doesn't have the same credentials for login in the same LMS or in LMS1 or LMS2. Maybe she have different credentials in LMS1, different in LMS2, LMS3, and LMSN. Anyway, I will discuss this later. How can we make or track the same learner across multiple platforms? But anyway, if in case we have already let's consider that we already have or had the whole courses or made a user profile for Arwa containing all these courses gathered from different LMSs. So we can say that Arwa is qualified for the following jobs. She is a good for front-end web developer. She can work as a developer for as a front end. She can work also as a full stack web developer. She can also work as a project manager for web development or such jobs. So in such case, we can say that, okay, when we collect this information, we can know, okay, this candidate or this learner is ready for this specific jobs. If we don't have the if we don't have the information or the learning history of Arwa across these multiple platforms, we cannot predict what type of job Arwa is ready for. So that is the main thing or the main benefit of gathering the information from different LMSs. The next slide. Okay, here the benefit, as I said just a few seconds before that, okay, once we know what candidates, or if we track these candidates, and we can make out what skills and competencies they have, then we can expect what type of jobs they can work for. And from the right side here, we can have the market needs. By somehow we can get maybe from LinkedIn as jobs, for example, or from other resources. If we can read the market needs for jobs, and on the left side we have the learners, or let's say the resources who is having these competencies and skills, then we can make this matching so that we can reduce the loss in education outcomes. And even we can focus more here in Saudi. We can, let's say, give recommendation for authoring people or authoring platforms that, okay, the market needs the following, and the following, let's say, competencies, the following skills. So please focus on these courses or these competencies so that we can get students or get more resources or more human resources having these skills. So by this way, we can make the outcomes of these LMSs much or nearer, or we can say fulfilling the market needs. So here is the matching between the market needs and the available resources in terms of human. So here, the need, or what we are doing with this data, we are building a hybrid recommender system. Sorry, I jumped directly into the AI field. If you study, or let me get back maybe from, okay, sorry. Let me get one slide here. Okay, suppose, for example, okay, let me get back here. Suppose, okay, I think this is a better view to explain what is a recommender system. If we have one student studying maybe Arwa on the left side, she's studying maybe, or she took some courses. The left side course is called Computer Vision for Self-Driving Cars. And she took another course called Stock Price Prediction Using Time Series. All these two topics are related to machine learning or artificial intelligence in general. She also took the three courses in the middle of the screen. Okay, so these three courses, linear algebra, Python for dummies, machine learning, all these three courses are taken by all three people, Arwa, Joe, and Ibra. So if we go to Joe took natural language processing, AI for medicine, and he also took the 3 courses in the middle. Ibra took 2 courses, creating a chatbot using AI and neural networks. What is the similarity between these 3 learners? We can find that all of them, they have studied the 3 topics in the middle. So me myself, if I study the same topics in the middle, linear algebra, Python for dummies, machine learning, the AI system can find that, oh, you have studied these courses. The people studied these courses, they also studied some other courses that you did not study. For example, on the right side, Ibra studied neural networks. Khalid, do you want to study neural networks? So this is how a recommender system works. If Joe will log in to his LMS, it will automatically give him a recommender system, or sorry, a recommendation that, okay, you studied linear algebra, Python for dummies, machine learning. Do you want to study computer vision for self-driving cars, which Arwa studied? So it will look for what similar people are courses they are studying, and then they will suggest other courses so that it will make a match. So this is a very simple way of how a recommender system work by using the clustering in AI. This is just a simplified way. Of course, if we go into real AI models, it's much complicated than this way. Let me go up again. A recommender system is not just AI based. A recommender system, it is also depending on user profile. It will take the AI based system, it will combine it with user profile. When a user suppose registers in one LMS or in any learning platform, he might provide some information like job information, academic specialization for students or university students. It might ask him for what is your interests, like LinkedIn does. It will maybe also suggest him what skills do you have, so that a recommender system will use this information and recommend courses related to this information. The third, let's say the third side, or the third data gathered also for a recommender system is called learning history. This, I think we are all familiar with learning history, or let's say in other platforms, maybe not learning, let's say in e-commerce websites, purchase history. If you go to Google, for example, and if you search for, okay, I want to purchase sunglasses. Once you close this website, if you go to another sites, you will find something amazing that, okay, in other sites, you'll find some ads related to sunglasses. It will follow you up in many platforms, in many websites, recommending some things related to what you have searched or what you have already purchased from before. So in learning history, we keep track of what this learner learned before, so that we can suggest him similar courses or similar contents. So gathering all these three, let's say three source of informations, or three like the AI-based clustering and learner profile, all this information combined together is called hybrid recommender system, and that's what we are going to build in our system, or in our ecosystem. Okay, up to now, do anyone has a question about that?
Sorry, finding my mute button. So everybody go ahead and put questions in the Q&A, and I will bring them up for Khalid. I have a question. So far, you've been able, you're sharing us, I'm just confirming my understanding. You're just sharing general AI things that could be done using data that is brought in with xAPI, or really data brought in with anything, because I know Amazon doesn't use xAPI to keep track of my sunglasses. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So here the recommender system will work as an engine. Let's say here we have a recommender engine. If a learner logged in to any LMS, the learning engine or the recommenders engine, it will provide this recommendation not only to specific LMS where the data came from. No, it will suggest the same information to multiple LMSs because the data is gathered from different LMSs, and the recommender system is used or generalized for all these LMSs. Maybe I join some courses from one LMS, and if I go to another LMS, it will recommend me whatever is needed or whatever suits me in the other LMS. And here comes the real benefit of gathering information from different LMSs and supporting or giving this recommender system to serve multiple LMSs. Let's go deeper into the learning record. In fact, right now we are using the learning locker LRS for testing purpose and as a temporary LRS. So in learning record, when I went deeper into the database and how it works, I found that there is a collection for statements on the left side. It contains the actor ID. Of course, we have the actor, verb, object, context, result, and all these components are found, or keys are found in most of the xAPI statements. At least the actor, verb, or object. Some of them will have context, and some will have results also. Personal identifiers, we will find the actor ID and the actor male. So here is let's say the aggregation between the statements and the personal identifier. On the left side, on the right side, we have made some modification to the database, to the learning locker database. We added a few collections, one representing or made for skills, another for competencies, so that we can have let's say a unique resources, a unique skills, unique competencies, not repeated in xAPI statements. At the same time, we have course metadata. The course metadata will contain the course ID, name, description, course level, skills, and here it's very important to save skills as we can say here skills are found as a foreign key taken from the skills collection. So there is a relation between the course metadata and the skills, using the skills field available in course metadata. Competencies, it also has the same thing with, it has a relation to competencies. So that when we match these tables, we can figure out what competencies are fulfilled or gained when a learner will study a specific course or a specific content. One more table, or let's say one more collection, because this is NoSQL DB, is learner profile. So this profile is created just to serve, or we can say this is an output collection containing learner information, or we can say learner metadata, containing his ID, learner name, the skills he already gained, and the competencies, so that this is the ready data to present for market or for human resource site. So maybe this is a more deeper view of how learning local database looks like. The yellow collections, these are collections available by learning local, which is called which is statements, the lowermost statements, and we have the blue ones are the one we have already modified, or we created these collections and we added it to the database so that we can make the aggregation as stated above in this slide. So we can make the aggregation between the information to get the correct or the final data for regarding the learner profile. And here we have the course metadata. This is the real one. When I represented it here, I just mentioned only a few fields just for demonstration purpose. Otherwise, in reality, it contains all this information. I concentrated here, or I highlighted the skills and competencies. And of course, the first field here is called the course ID. So once you take a specific course, you will be considered as having some skills related to this course. And here I have a screenshot for our Learning Locker LRS. Here we have in the store site, or the drop-down list, we have some LMSs. Okay, the data coming from different LMSs. Sorry, yes, it is specified here. So we have, suppose, for example, in the second last, we have LRS called Usara. They have sent up to now, maybe within a few days, they have sent 7,000 statements from their learner activities. LRS ZM, they have sent 5,000. Actually, this screenshot is, I think it's a few days back. Now it must be much more than this number. So these statements are collected from different LMSs. We are trying to, let's say, mitigate or mimic. We are trying to mimic the total learning architecture that is provided, or it's being done by ADL initiative. So what we are doing here, we are getting the inspiration from total learning architecture. I think many of you already familiar with TLA. If you don't know what is TLA, it's a great architecture. You can visit it through this link available here. Okay, when we talk about learner engagement across multiple platforms, I know there might be a question, a very important question, maybe someone of you, or maybe many of you are asking, how can I track the same learner across multiple platforms if he is going to log in by different credentials from in different platforms? Actually, here we have, let's say, the governance in our in our ecosystem, that we tell these LMSs, okay, please provide a unified login, or it's called single sign-on. The single sign-on is directed, or is initiated by an let's say a platform available in Saudi Arabia. It's called FutureX. You can see the link available in the header of this page. It's futurex.nelc.gov.sa. If a learner will log into this platform, he will be redirected to different LMSs. Actually, we have two types of login. We have identity provider login, and we have LMS initiated login. So in this case, right now, or in this slide, I'm talking about the identity provider login. Identity provider login, if you open this page, it will redirect you to another page. This page here on the right side, it will ask you for your national ID. What we mean by national ID, it is the government national ID of any person, or any citizen, or maybe any person available here in Saudi Arabia. He can use this login screen. If you use this username and password, then you can log in to many services in Saudi Arabia. Among them, or one of them, is this learning platform. This learning platform, it is not LMS. It is just a hub for connecting different LMSs to each other. So once you log in here, it will redirect you to this page in this slide. This page in this slide, you can find many courses from Coursera. If you see the drop-down list here where the red arrow pointing, you will find some LMSs. Right now, it is Coursera, edX, and Ithrai. If you search, you will find here many courses coming from different sources. The list available here below in the lower part of the screen It's actually a courses coming from Coursera, from edX, or from different sources. If you open this link or open any course, it will redirect you. It will redirect you directly to that LMS with your national credentials or with one credential. If you log into Coursera, it will take you as Khalid. If you log into edX, it will take you as Khalid. If you log into Ithrai, it will also take you as Khalid. If I log in as Khalid. So this is the benefit out of this single sign-on, so that later on, if Khalid will take many courses from in different platforms, it will keep track of the same learner across multiple platforms. So this is the let's say the identity provider login initiative. In another way, where we have the LMS initiated login, actually here in Future X, or in the National E-Learning Center in Saudi Arabia, we have the licensing and the governance to the LMS providers in Saudi Arabia. So if you want to work as an LMS provider and you want to provide LMSs for educational institutions or for any partner, then you must align to the rules given by National E-Learning Center. One of these rules is to make a single sign-on for users. So once you connect your user going to your LMS using our credentials or his national credentials, then he can easily log into your LMS with his national as Khalid, with his national credential or with his national ID as Khalid. If I log into another LMS from another provider, this provider is licensed by NELC or National Learning Center, then I will log in also with my credentials, with my national credentials. So if I log in across multiple platforms, we are trying our best to ensure that a learner will log in with the same credentials across multiple platforms. This is not only for typical platforms, but even with platforms available in universities, institutions, and any, let's say, learning providers available here in Saudi Arabia. So we are trying to ensure a single or the consistent data across these platforms. Here, for example, if you go, if we look at these statements, we are having here some statements coming from different LMSs. I'm trying to find the LMS or the platform where this. Okay. If you are familiar, I think many of you are familiar with xAPI statement. If you go, if we look at this at the statement on the left side, okay, we find that if we go to the platform key, we find that the platform name is Masar. So this platform is called Masar. The learner name or the actor name is, sorry, I highlighted by mistake the wrong place. So if we look at the platform, it is called Masar on the left side. And if we find who is the actor for this statement, the actor is Khalid Al-Reemy at gmail.com, and the national ID is placed in front of or in place of the name. It's 10 something at the end it is 89 or 09. So this learner is taking a course from Masar platform. On the right side, the same learner is taking another course from another platform called Usara. If you find here, it is two different platforms of the same and with the same learner. So these two different platforms can represent, can give many courses to different learners, and the same learner can join different platforms with the same national ID. Here, the national ID is 10 something something. This is just arbitrary number I already gave. So this is the way how we keep track of the same learner across these multiple platforms. Here, we have some challenges with the like working on such cases. Let me tell you before I go to these wrong statements that we are receiving from LMSs. Let me tell what is the role of National E-Learning Center, or my role especially in this learning governance enterprise. Let me say, if that's correct. The learning National E-Learning Center, here we have the governance over the LMS providers. Okay, you are LMS provider. If you want to be licensed, then come to us and provide the xAPI integration into your LMS that you will provide to partners. So before any LMS will use your LMS, before any partner will take any LMS from you as an LMS provider, you must make your LMS or your product ready with xAPI. So when, suppose, let's say a company or an institution will purchase or will make a contract with LMS provider, this LMS must be ready with LMS integrated, so that it will send all these LMSs sold by LMS providers, will send the learner activities all to our LRS, so our learning record store. So you can just imagine that if these LMS providers sold many LMSs to tens or whatever number of clients, then all these LMSs or all these clients, all the learners logging into these LMSs will send, or we will get all the information or the learner engagement coming from these different LMSs. So it's a very, let's say, a huge and very grand mega project. I cannot say that we have already implemented 100% this project. No, we have gone, like we have already crossed many steps in this project, and we have some problems, of course, because some the developers available in these LMSs and the LMS providers, many of them are listening about xAPI for the first time. So we are taking the responsibility for teaching them what is xAPI, how to use it, what profile we are using, so that these LMS providers must embed the same profile or use the same profile with their LMSs or with their products, so that their clients will send data to our LRS at the same time, in the same format, with the same verbs or the same concepts we are using, so that it must be unified. Yes, Megan. Yes.
That opens up a really interesting question that I want to share with you quickly. And I know we're coming to the end of our time because we do have a couple of team updates to get in. But as you work with all of these different vendors, as you pull this incredible architecture together, why did you decide to use xAPI and an LRS instead of something else?
Okay. If we have to use another way, actually, I don't think there is any other method or way for collecting learner engagement data better than xAPI. So when I came through this topic, I found that xAPI is the ideal, or our case is an ideal case of xAPI standard. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I have to use xAPI because it is very widely used in learning ecosystem. It is very interoperable with other LMSs. LinkedIn Learning is also using xAPI. So I shouldn't go in a different way. I have to align with what what is being used in e-learning ecosystem.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So do you have just a little bit to wrap things up?
So I want to say that, okay, we have many challenges here because some people are still sending wrong statements. We have to keep telling them about many things. Many things here I want to speak about, but the time is running. I thought that I will finish within 10 minutes, but the time has gone very fast. Anyway, finally, I'm very glad to tell that, okay, we are having this great project. I had the great chance to work on such project. For any information or for any inquiries, if you want to ask, you can contact me on my contacts here on the screen. I'm just let me share the file here. I think I missed the sharing. Select video file. Sorry. Let me share the screen directly here. Okay. You can contact me on khalidreemy@gmail.com or k.alreemy@nelc.edu.sa and or on Twitter at Khalid this is my account on Twitter. I'll be very glad to receive any inquiries, even support, or what kind of any sort of contact from anyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. I've been getting messages all along back in the behind the scenes telling me how wonderful this session was. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And have a good evening.
Thanks.
So let's take a look at our team updates. And we're going to have Mary Elizabeth join us first. Mary Elizabeth has a meeting at the top of the hour. So we are going to go to Team More Than SCORM. What have you all been up to?
Okay, can you hear me all right?
We sure can.
Thank you. So yeah, we had a really exciting week this week. We were able to do some testing. So we published a storyline course just using the new LRS feature and pointing it towards our watershed LRS instance that we set up. And we got some great data. So we published it in SCORM Cloud, just kind of as an LMS kind of, and gave a private link to our testers for that. And yeah, we were able to get some really great data there. We had less luck publishing it in our LMS, which for a lot of us is Bridge LMS, which does not accept packages published as xAPI, but publishing it as SCORM, we weren't getting just the native xAPI that is available in Storyline right now to publish anything out. And so we're going to try this week doing some custom xAPI statements using their little xAPI statement builder that they have in Storyline now, and do some more testing with those custom statements.
Sounds very cool. Sounds very cool. And it sounds like the hybrid publish mode is in your future. Send SCORM to make the LMS happy and send xAPI out.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. Congratulations, Team More Than SCORM. And maybe next week we'll get some data. All right. Very cool. Martin is out there with Team, holding down the fort with Team CMI5. Our last update of the day. We've got you.
Okay, I'll start even though I don't see my video. Okay, so basically the team activity has not been there for the last couple of weeks. I think other teams have really cool technology and people have moved on to there to try and things out. I have a whole theory of why that is. Like it's the latest, coolest acronym gets all the buzz. And but the old ones are still around. But in spite of that, I'm still working on the idea that we discussed originally, is a desktop application that can launch from the Catapult player, runs an AU, and sends the xAPI statements as it's supposed to the LMS and to the LRS. So what I'm hoping to do is do it as a demo, just so people can see the idea that I've been working on, and if people have questions then, and also at the xAPI party, do a longer demonstration of that. So that's basically where it stands. So if people have questions or want to find out what I've been doing, just contact me on Slack.
Very cool. And I don't know what people don't find very cool about desktop-based LMS spec testers.
Yeah.
I like that. Seems new and shiny to me.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
fantastic.
We'll see. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'll be hitting you up for and Mary Elizabeth and all the other teams up for a demo day time slot. So we'll get you connected there. I can't wait to see it.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. We are short on updates for this week, but that means we get to finish more or less on time. I hope to see you next week, 2 to 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, or on the recording for the first demo day with xAPI teams or xAPI cohort teams, and remind you to send in your proposal and sign up for xAPI Party on May 6th. So everybody get out there, make something cool, and then come back here and tell us about it. Have a great weekend, everybody.